Welcome back to the SME Soup podcast. Today I'm joined by Stevi Lowmass, who's the founder and CEO of the Camel Soap Factory. Stevi left a successful corporate career to build one of the most iconic UAE homegrown brands. On today's episode, she shares her incredible story of turning a backyard hobby into a global skincare business and what it really takes to manufacture products right here in Dubai. So join me on today's episode of the SME Soup podcast. Stevi, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Tom. It's a pleasure to be here. I've seen your building 100 times. I live there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do.
So not a massive commute for you to get here today. That's good.
Oh.
So your story is really interesting, right? There's a pivot when you went from the corporate world into entrepreneurship. Why don't you take us back and start from the beginning?
Well, we were talking a bit earlier. I started in banking as well. So, even before that, I was in computer programming, but the really, really early days, which probably gives my age away a little bit. Okay. I came to the Middle East 23 years ago selling a software product for banks, and it was the original software for driving ATMs, point of sale, switching payments, transactions. There were no digital banks. There was no payments with mobile in those days.
Must have been such a different environment to today.
It was. And so, yes, I have seriously pivoted to probably the complete opposite in terms of what I do.
And when was that pivot? What was the point in time where you thought, I'm going to stop doing this and I'm going to go try something? Was there a spark that changed it?
No, there definitely was. Well, the first thing was I fell pregnant when I was 48. And it was my first child. And I just could not see myself going back to work. I'd wanted her so badly. And the thought of going back to traveling every weekend.
Sitting in an office.
And visiting banks, sorry to say. just didn't feel...
They were different then. They're better. We're very friendly.
It has changed, yes, I admit that. So I thought I need to do something different. And I didn't really... I tried a few things, actually. I didn't just go into soaps immediately. I looked at shoes at one point. My sister and I, she's in South Africa and I was here, and we looked at importing shoes, and we discovered you really need to know a lot about the shoe business to be successful.
I don't know anything about shoes.
And I curated 3 art exhibitions here because my one sister's an artist, and I persuaded her and one of her really well-known artist friends to come and paint Dubai. And we had some quite successful art exhibitions. Okay. But again, I looked at it and thought I couldn't see a way it could scale, and I couldn't see a way that it would support me as a business.
Was your passion there? Or it was just something you were trying to fill a void with?
I love art. I do. I really, probably more than soap, to be honest. But I was also quite realistic about what was going to be necessary to turn it into a business. And the art world is equally hard. And then my husband and I were on holiday in Australia. We were down Western Australia, and we were driving around these beautiful vineyards. And we came across a place called the Olive Oil Soap Factory. Okay. Right in the middle of the vineyards, actually. And it was this beautiful building. And you walked in, on one side of the building, you could actually look down onto their factory floor and watch them making. And they were selling local products, local produce. And it hit me at that moment. I just thought, we could do something like this in Dubai. This is what Dubai needs.
We've spoken to so many people in the podcast that like this lightning strike hits.
Yeah.
And it's from something completely erroneous and completely unexpected. And then
exactly. And I just thought soap. And then, of course, I knew a lot about soaps from the region, from the Levant, from Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Palestine. I mean, they make beautiful soaps up there. And they make their soaps with something called laurel oil, rar in Arabic. And I just thought, well, I wonder if I could use camel milk. And of course...
Well, bridge that gap for me.
Well, I couldn't get hold of the laurel oil. It's really hard to buy. And I thought, well, what if I use camel? But you must remember, I used natural soaps.
Okay.
So I knew about goat milk and donkey milk. So I knew milks worked well in soaps.
Very important. Okay.
Of course, I knew nothing about soaps. So I literally Googled best soap maker in the world. And this lady's name popped up. Her name was Melinda Koss.
Okay.
And she's actually a legend, this woman. She has probably started 60 businesses, written books about all of them.
Oh, wow.
But she was actually an amazing teacher as well. And she taught me how to make soaps. And then
you just emailed her? Or?
Yeah.
Wow.
And she was running a course in London, in Walthamstow, of all places.
Okay.
So in a little church hall, and there were me and a bunch of other people. And she ran the next day after the soap making course, she ran a business course. And I asked her at that point, and I said, Melinda, if I start something in Dubai, will you mentor me? And she said, yes, for £500 a month.
See, that's an interesting step, right? Because I've spoken to people who are looking to start businesses, and they're trying to navigate the world, but they seem resistant to ask a very simple, straightforward, free question, which is, will you mentor me?
Will you mentor me? Yeah. And I think the other important thing, though, is that I paid for it.
Okay.
So I do get a lot of people coming to me and saying, will you mentor me? And they want it for free. And I think the thing about paying Melinda that really changed it was £500 was a lot of money to me then.
Yeah.
And it focused me. And it meant that when I had my monthly call with her, I made sure I'd done what I said. She was almost like, she became an accountability partner. And it's what I advise everybody is get yourself a mentor, but be prepared to pay for it.
Well, I think it's a great thing, right? I don't think people should shy away from it. So my wife took up a mentor for our business in the UK, where we're buying and selling and renting properties. And she found a mentor who was doing it, who's very successful in it, paid course, did it for a month to 3 months, and then after that it's blossomed.
Yes.
And it was the same thing. It was accountability. I'm on a call, so I need to make sure that I've done my numbers and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And, having that accountability was really important for the growth of the business, which is great. I don't think people should shy away from that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Melinda, I mean, she did everything. She helped me with everything. She said, well, how are you going to lay your factory floor out? And she helped me with factory floor layout.
Maybe things you hadn't thought about.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think about the factory
I'll tell
floor.
you, one of the things she said to me right in the early days, and this is when I still had a factory in Alcoz, and we were designing it, and she said, have you got a room for your curing, where you cure your soaps? And I said, I do. And she said, can you leave a gap between the ceiling and the top of this room? And I said, well, I can't, because I said civil defense here won't let me.
Right.
And I said, but what do I need that for? And she said, because packaging is going to be your biggest problem. And it was actually really only recently when I was walking around our factory, which is there.
Oh, yeah?
In the LIUs here. Yeah, you can actually see us from here.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. You can actually see us from here.
We should do a walk around. That'd be really good.
So, and we had to build a mezzanine floor into our factory, and it's all for packaging, because you think that it's the making, but actually, it's everything else. Because she'd run businesses.
And she run a soap business?
Yeah,
before?
she ran the biggest handmade soap business in the UK.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So she really knew her stuff. So she sold to the likes of Tesco's, Waitrose, Sainsbury's, Walmart when they came in. Yeah, so, I mean, her business was huge.
So she had all of that knowledge to impart on you and
exactly,
to help you through.
Yes, which was...
What happened next then?
So I did the course, and I came back and I started playing around with soaps in my kitchen.
Okay.
And eventually I persuaded my husband to give me a tiny patch in his shed. And
this is in the UAE?
In the UAE, yes.
So, a shed? Shed's a very British thing,
It is. So we
cold,
bought
all of the cold things going there.
We bought our house in the lakes in the early days.
Okay.
And we had like an area to the side of the house that we were able to convert to a shed.
Cool, okay.
Which is really cool. So he reluctantly...
Yes, that's his area.
Reluctantly gave me a tiny bit of space. And I just started playing around, and this would have been 14, 15 years ago. And I went to a couple of school fairs. And I always remember a friend of mine invited me to the DIA, Dubai International School, on Camila. And she said, come to our Christmas fair. And I took all my little products that weren't quite as smart as those, but they were fine. I had little handmade labels, and I sold everything. And I had to phone the school that I was going to the next weekend and say, listen, I can't come. I actually haven't got any stock.
Oh, great.
And
good problem to have.
It was, yeah. Listen, it was still small and homemade. And then the next year, Dubai started their first Christmas market. And I thought, let me see if these soaps, and I bought some slightly bigger molds, and I taught my daughter's nanny how to make soaps.
Okay.
And she and I managed to make quite reasonable quantities. So we were able to take probably a few thousand soaps to this market. And we sold 75,000 dirhams worth in one weekend.
Wow.
And I came home after that and said to my husband, there's a business here, Brian. There's a business there. Wow. Yeah.
What
and that's
success.
Literally how it started. And but then, of course, that's when the reality starts setting in, because when you're making at home, and I was really fortunate in that I was one of the first and probably only expat women to get a license to manufacture at home. It was just
I didn't even think that was possible.
Yeah.
Really?
It's not anymore.
Oh.
And it wasn't then.
Okay.
But sometimes things happen for the right reason.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then, and that allowed me to get the products registered, which allowed me then to start approaching retailers.
Wow. I mean, there's a great story there. A lot of businesses that we speak to and support along their way, they struggle with this concept of the minimum viable product. So they think that they have to build the perfect version of the thing.
Exactly.
And they spend all their time and effort drilling, building, spending a lot of money as well. And I think there's a very powerful message in building a low fidelity version of whatever you're putting into the market, and friends and family, your local community trying to see whether there's a demand for that.
I think that for me, that was the most important thing, is that, that first Christmas market, I was like, okay, there's clearly something. And when we tried it the next year, and we sold so much, and that's when I thought there is a gap in the market here. And part of the reason I'd started it as well is that when I arrived here 23 years ago now, there was really very little to buy that was made locally. You could buy a camel made in China, a pashmina made in India, and dates from Saudi often.
Very much imported.
Yeah. But I didn't feel that there was much that was made locally that kind of represented what Dubai and what the UAE was.
Yeah.
So partly that, I think that's the gap that we filled, kind of inadvertently in a way. But we discovered that people really wanted to take back. And I think
great.
The first phone call I got from a customer who'd bought our product at a market, and he was from Finland, I think, and he sent me an email and he said, I am using your soap in my shower and I am smelling the desert. And it was so, and it actually moved me to tears, because I just thought that's what I want people to buy it and take home a little bit of what I love so much here. Yeah.
That's a beautiful story. Do you remember your first sale? Was that that's first time a customer contacted you, but do you remember your first sale?
Our first big sale, yes, was actually to the customer who's now my biggest customer, full stop. It was a retailer, and I went in to see them. I mean, people will know them. They're Al Jabba Gallery, and still a family-run business run
amazing.
by the Al Jabbas, run by the brothers and the sister.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to see the one brother, and he said to me, "Oh, no." He calls me Mrs. Camel. Mrs. Camel, we don't sell soap. And I said, no. I said, this is not soap. This is not soap. This is a gift. I said, this is a gift from Dubai. And he said, talk to my sister. And I spoke to his sister, and we were in her office, and she looked at it and she goes, I understand. She says, I think you're right. She said, let's try this in Dubai Mall.
Wow.
And
What a
the rest,
gamble.
I know, and the rest is, yeah. I mean, how lucky were we? And I think that first month, I remember it. I think it was about 20,000 dirhams, and I was like, oh, this is.
And it went straight to Dubai Mall.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was, and they were definitely our first big retail sale, yes, and remain to this day one of our most important customers.
It's amazing. So you've made this pivot. You've then tested your market locally, and then you've got your first set of customers. Talk us through the growth stage then.
Yeah,
You're a hugely successful company now. How did you get from
it was interesting.
the first set of customers to that?
First set of, well, the first, we had a lot of challenges in terms of licensing and of course the UAE got really strict about how products were made here, the manufacturing standards. So initially there were some quite big challenges.
How did you navigate that? If I was to try to, I'd know nothing about what rules I needed to even understand in order to start making.
Sometimes I think it's really good to be totally ignorant.
Okay.
If I'd I'd known half of them, I'd probably go, no, I'm not going to do
I think if I saw the list of regulations, I'd go, oh, it's not worth it.
Yes. And it is what I say to people now is you do need to really think about the regulations. But I think because I started when I did, and we kind of grew as Dubai grew. So we were kind of lucky that I had to navigate each thing one at a time.
Okay.
So I think the first big challenge we had is I went back to re-register my products with Dubai municipality, and they said, please send us your GMP certificate. And I went,
love an acronym.
What's a GMP certificate? And they said, this is what a factory gets. It's an ISO standard, and it's good manufacturing practice is what it stands for.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, how do I get one of these? And they said, well, you've got to go to SGS or one of the big companies.
And
they were
validated.
And I went to them, and they were charging a huge amount of money. And I was like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And, again, sometimes just luck, sometimes being nice to people.
All of the time.
Just 100%. Makes an amazing difference. And one of the ladies at this rather big company, who shall remain nameless, I think took pity on me. And she said, if I give you an example of a GMP manual and the standard, she says, it will show you what you need to do. Oh, wow. So I looked at it and I thought, you know what, we can write this. And we did. And we managed to get that GMP certificate within 2 months, which is pretty amazing when I look back on it.
I imagine was pretty swift.
Yeah, I mean, we had to document every process. And when I mean every process, like how we sold the product, how we handle customer complaints, how we make the product, how we package the product. Wow. And I think one of the things that also came out of that is that I learned that sometimes we think you have to go out to a professional or somebody to do things. And I had to write a technical document for Dubai municipality. It was part of their requirements. And again, I was told there are consultants, and we just simply could not afford the consultancy. And I started writing this document. And it's kind of then I realized, man, we're quite good. We have no waste. Mm-hmm. We're environmentally friendly. We hardly use any electricity. We're actually and I think it's then these sort of things.
Start to have confidence.
And you start to have confidence in what you do. And I think if somebody else had done that, I wouldn't have known that about the business.
Yeah, I think a lot of people assess themselves against people in their own industry, right? Very rarely are you doing something completely unique, right? There's usually market incumbents, there's other companies. And I think a lot of people spend a lot of time looking at everyone else's company and going, oh, well, I'm not to that standard, or I can't do that. And then, when you scratch the surface and you put your uniqueness into it, it flourishes.
Yes. And I also think that maybe nowadays, particularly nowadays, there is, you need to go to an expert. You need to go to the person who knows. I mean, ChatGPT certainly has solved a lot of those problems, but
when it's not hallucinating.
when it's not hallucinating, yes. But actually getting down and just getting the courage to do it all yourself teaches you that actually you don't need other people. You can rely on yourself to do some of these things. Yeah.
And so you've got it to that point. Did you have any challenges in terms of getting access to financing? Because usually at that stage, businesses need additional funding or financing to help them, lending from banks or lending from VCs or local investors.
Yeah, and this is honestly, and this is feedback to banks. It's really hard getting loans from banks.
We apologize. We are making it easy.
Listen, I did actually get a loan from Rakbank in the early days, but I think I didn't understand the product I was sold, and certainly the person who sold me the product, I don't think quite understood it. And then in the end, I ended up swapping it out for a Beehive loan, which was the crowdfunding, which turned out to be just better for us. But that was the really early days.
Yeah.
So we struggled with funding. I was very lucky. I got friends and family funding right in the early days. That allowed us to move into the factory.
Yeah, I think it's something obviously at Rakbank we're very, very focused on. Obviously, we've come from a heritage of helping small businesses. That's kind of what our bread and butter was, and now we're growing into a bigger bank. Very much focused on lending. We are the predominant lender to businesses in the UAE. So if you look at the other market incumbents, we lend to a scale much higher than the rest. It's very much something that we're focused on, and we're doing some very, very interesting things in the near future, hopefully that can help businesses too. But I imagine back then there wasn't a lot of options, right?
No,
particularly for lending to small businesses. It's very risky. Banks see it as a very risky.
I'll tell you, it was actually difficult to even open a bank account, and I think this is probably a coincidence, but we've been a Rakbank customer since day one, because I think Rakbank were almost the only bank willing to open a bank account for a very new company in those days.
Yeah, we believed in small businesses since the dawn of time. Yeah.
And lending has always been, and we can talk about it. I mean, I think there are all sorts of structural issues with how money flows, and I get why people want big returns.
Sure.
And companies like ours, we will offer steady returns, but we're not going to 10x, 100x anybody's investment.
Sure.
Yeah.
From an equity perspective.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, our next big sort of area of growth is we were selected to become a vendor for Expo 2020. So we supplied all the Camel milk products for Expo 2020, including what was their bestseller, this is a variant of it that we brought back after. It's a lip balm.
Oh,
so
wow.
Our original lip balm was actually made for Expo 2020. And
this was exclusively made for 2020.
2020. And then we, obviously at the end of 2020, we pulled the product back. And we had so much demand for that product that we've actually brought it back. But
really?
Expo 2020 meant we needed to retool. We thought we'd do some slightly different products for them. And we'd been doing quite well up to that point. And
how did the Expo thing come about?
I think that they had regular meetings, Expo, and they put out to the business community, we're doing meetings for anybody who wants to supply product in this sector.
Oh, great.
No, they were very, very professional.
Yeah, I love this region. These things are happening all of the time in different sectors.
Yeah.
And you just don't see it in many
Yeah, I mean, I've never started a business in another country, so I don't know. But I know with Expo, the head of purchasing was an Australian lady called Anita, and I went into this meeting, and I sort of went up to her to introduce myself. I said, hello. I said, my name is Stevi. I said, I'm from a company called the Camel Soap Factory. She goes, she says, we've been looking all over for you. And she said, we'd love your products.
Oh,
and
wow.
it was just it was lovely. Yeah. I mean, it is an unusual environment. Dubai and the
It's
UAE.
so expansive and so big, but then also at the same time,
It's so small.
so small.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a very connected community. Yeah, and so I mean, I think everybody had an opportunity to participate, and we became a licensee, and that's when we moved to DSO.
okay.
So we needed much bigger premises. So we committed to the premises in one of the LRUs out there, and moved 2019, and sort of towards the end of 2019,
Okay.
just before COVID.
Okay. Let's talk about that. The thing that stopped the world.
Yeah, and us. Yeah, no, it was dreadful. So our business had been built on tourism and visitors to the region. Although we've got a really good base of customers here, it's a tiny market.
And I presume at that time you were selling to retailers who were then selling on your product, right?
That's right.
Were
But
you
most
online at that point or no?
Yeah, we were online, but online, it's always going to be for that sort of product, not massive. If you're just selling, when you think about it, of the 10 million people here, there's probably only 1 million who'd buy a product like that, of whom maybe half. It's a small market.
Okay.
So we were always aiming at the 20 million tourists that Dubai tourism was aiming at. We'd always done our numbers on the tourism numbers. So when COVID hit, January 2020 was our best month ever, and February was our worst. It went down 95% overnight. Yeah.
How did you manage that? Because you have existing demands, you have people to pay for, the families, the payroll. Talk us through a bit about how you...
That was challenging.
You analysed it and then reacted.
Yeah, that was really challenging. We knew probably before the rest of Dubai knew, because we knew so a lot of our customers then were Chinese, and those flights were stopped in early January. And so we started to see and feel the impact really early. So by February, we knew we were hitting a massive problem.
It was
so I laid off people quite quickly, and then I gave the rest of my staff an option, and I said, right, you guys decide. We either scale back staff or I cut salaries. And they voted to cut salaries unanimously.
It's amazing that you gave an option, no? A lot of businesses, I think, just sort of cut ties and slowed down.
You think that? You'll be surprised how many didn't. Certainly amongst the people we deal with and the companies we deal with, many of them kept staff on, sent them home on sabbatical, or rearranged so that they could keep their staff, got rid of all their contract staff. It wasn't as uncommon as you think, actually.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Like, ultimately, all businesses run on
it
people,
meant
right? And you can't get rid of your main resource.
And our people are so critical to what we do. I mean, our production staff are so skilled. To lose them would be a catastrophe. So yes, we can train them up again. So yeah, so the first step that was really the head count, and then it was. I mean, you've got to kind of find ways to exist. And we tried a few things that really did not work very well. We tried a few things that worked, that helped us a little bit. Online was never big for us, even though we pushed it quite heavily. The market here is just simply too small.
Sure.
And it was funny because my mentor, Melinda, said to me, oh my gosh, you must be selling thousands of soaps. And I said, Melinda, everybody's buying Dettol.
Yes.
I said...
Was that not a thought to pivot perhaps to a more...
We did. So we
Is it antiseptic?
So we did actually. And we started bringing antiseptic made with natural thymol, actually.
It's quite aggressive, isn't it?
It can be quite aggressive, yeah. So we used a natural ingredient called thymol. We brought that out. We brought out liquid hand sanitizers. But again, when you're up against the really big companies, it's difficult to. And I think we learned. I would probably handle it a little differently now.
What would you have done in hindsight?
Well, in hindsight, one is you've got to make sure you've got a cash reserve. And I think as a company, I learned luckily we'd come out of 2018-19, which had been actually profitable for us. So we had reasonable cash reserves, but actually you really need to plan to have cash reserves.
That's an interesting. Let's go down that route for a little bit, because I think it's a lot of businesses think it's about growth at all costs, particularly when you're a small business.
Oh, it's not.
And I know that COVID was hopefully a once in a forever thing that happens to us all. But you have to, cater for the rainy day, the thing that you can't see coming around the corner. What guidance can you give to businesses on what percentages to put away into a war chest, or how have you factored in your what you say is your cash reserve?
You need to make sure that you've got a good 3 to 6 months of running costs, and you just have a look at your P&L. You've got your operating costs and your cost of goods. Add those together, multiply that by 3 to 6, and you know what, banks can help this. So one of the things I really wanted to do was almost to create a savings account for a business.
Yes.
I would love that. Okay. Honestly, banks are, you think of them as little people, businesses as little people as well, is that a business needs to have an account that you kind of put things away a little bit, especially a small business.
And there's really innovative things that are coming on, it's not just savings for one particular purpose, like a cash reserve or, investment treasury, ability to segregate those savings into different expense pots.
Yeah, exactly. So you can put it aside for taxes, put it aside for VAT, put it aside so that you can see, okay, here's my gratuity pot.
Yeah.
That would really make a difference. And I think what I have learned since COVID is cash is king. And when I look at my budgeting of the last year or so, and certainly even going forward into 2026, we are far less focused on turnover and growth and much more focused on return now.
Oh, great.
And making sure we return profit.
And how involved are you in all of those accounting and bookkeeping, the financials of the business on a day-to-day basis as a CEO? What does your day look like?
It's never the same.
Okay. I guess that's good.
And I'm a bit of a nerd. I really love the numbers.
Oh, yeah?
I should have been an accountant, I think. So our books are really good and have been good almost since the beginning. Because, again, that's probably one of the bits of advice I give everybody is don't run it out of your personal account. Start this properly. And that's why I got a business bank account so early. And we kept really good books from probably 2016.
Critically important.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is a concept of you're only as good as the books. So if there's no proof of the cash flow, of the transactions, of the turnover, all these things coming in and out, invoices, service orders, all that kind of stuff, it's very difficult for banks to even engage, right? So we always advise, if you have really good due diligence and accounting and bookkeeping, it's a lot easier to get the additional.
So we've been audited since we were tiny. I've kept audited accounts since probably 2 years in.
Yeah.
And one of the other lessons I learned, and this was I worked for a family friend, helping him out in his business in 2008 in the global financial crisis. Okay. And his company went under. They were a 200 million dirham company, huge. That was their turnover. I mean, they were an absolutely amazing company. And what happened was he took his eye off the ball and he did not know his numbers. And I think when you're in a really big company and you've got a CFO and you've got the people to do stuff for you, and you can trust them. But in a small business, I cannot stress how important it is for people to understand their cash flow, to know what their balance sheet is and means and looks like, and how their P&L works. And I happen to quite like the numbers part of it.
So do you dip in
before? I do. I'm very annoying. My accountants find me very annoying.
Was this number? Why is this filled
why is this there? Why is this there? But I do, as a result of that, really understand the fabric of the business. And I think it is important, as an owner, as a CEO of any small business. I mean, one day I do hope to get to the point where I don't need to do all of that. But, I think up to about the $10 million mark, you really need to know what's going on.
And through doing that sort of forensic analysis of the books, I presume there's been multiple points where you've found areas that your team need to look at and to focus on, or perhaps to make more efficient or cheaper. Are there any examples you can give of
Well, I'll tell
how the
you that,
financials have led you to make better business
yeah,
decisions?
and well, in the last 2 years, we got two very big investors into the company in 2021, and that's really what helped us weather the storm, to be quite
Okay,
honest.
great.
One of them are RSA, who are the investment arm for this slot over here, and they're fabulous. They're a really great shareholder, and the other is a shareholder in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
The Sheikh likes camels, and
Of course.
of course, yeah. And one of the things, they've been immensely supportive, but have said, we don't pour money into things, but we give you advice and guidance.
Yeah, of course.
And I think one of the best things that we've done, and I wish I'd started this 8 years ago, is we account for cash now on an almost weekly, daily basis. We're watching how cash moves in and out the company.
Okay.
What it does and has given us is it's an incredible tool, because one, it stops discretionary expenditure. Because I think when there's like budgets, sometimes people just want to spend up to budget.
And then you ask for 10% more the next year, and it keeps going up.
And one of the most powerful things we've done in the last 2 years is really, really focus on cash and movement of cash. And it's incredibly satisfying, because you just watch your cash balances move positively. But it also teaches you a lot about the psychology of how people spend. And I've always thought that if I could
to go against that urge of saying, well, we're massively profitable now, we need to spend a lot of cash doing something.
We need to spend the money doing something, and just making everybody. I kind of feel if I could get each employee thinking of that money as their money.
Oh, that's great advice.
It would really change how they spend, and to a certain extent, doing this with the cash has done that. I've gone, do you really want to spend that? Is it going to give you the return you want?
Okay. So everything comes with a business case almost.
Everybody has to. And even as a small business, it's been an amazing difference to our business.
Amazing. So you're in Expo. You've just supported that amazing initiative. What happened in the years subsequent to that?
So, yeah, 2020 was dire. 2021, we were very lucky to get parachuted some help in the form of two investors who came into the company.
Well, they obviously saw value, and
I would hope. Partly, I mean,
they didn't do it for no reason, I presume.
Yeah, I'm always interested in, lots of people have told me horror stories. They've been amazing investors. It's been a pleasure. It's been such a pleasure working with them. And what they allowed us to do is expand our product range. So we went beyond. We moved beyond soaps. So we started developing a range of creams. We started developing a range of solid hair care products. We redeveloped the lip balms, which have become an amazing bestseller at Dubai Duty Free. Who knew?
Really?
Yeah. It's been really lovely to see the growth of that business. We're just now extending, because we have a bit of a brand name. We're now starting to see if we can work with hotels to do amenity products, especially for the 5-star hotels who want to do
packages when you go into the hotel.
They want local, they want sustainable, they want environmentally friendly, and we're starting to really make headroads into there, and are really hoping to win our first sort of big amenities project this year. So it's been really, since 2021, we've broadened our scope in terms of what we're looking at.
And how do you track? So now you got multiple product lines, and I think this is also where, particularly in the growth stage, businesses struggle, so that they expand very quickly and they've got multiple products. how do you track the success of each one of those products? How do you ingest?
Yeah,
I
you
guess
need
my question is more of
good software.
a data question.
Yeah, good software.
This
It's
product
data.
works, but not here.
Okay, no,
kind of
I'm a
question.
data nerd. Data.
Okay.
You need data. So we invested in 2019, I believe, or 2020. Maybe it was after COVID. We invested really heavily in software, kind of like a baby SAP type,
Okay.
ERP system.
Sure.
I think they're Australian or New Zealand based companies. So it happened to suit us. We looked around for a company that would help us not just manage our inventory and manage our production capability,
Okay.
but we could manage margins. We could manage, what was selling, what was not selling. That gave us the
And provide
information
insights and stuff.
that we need. And we have a wealth of data. So we know exactly what's selling where. We know the margins. We know the margins and what sells there, the margins and what sells there. You can't move without, especially in a manufacturing company. You really need to understand what works, what doesn't, and you've got to be quite ruthless at pulling and saying, right, this needs to come off, and we'll put
From a product perspective,
from
or
a product perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are products that have been put on the clipping floor.
that we've taken off, products that we've changed packaging, or we've had a look at it and looked at the margins and gone, right, we need to improve these margins. And sometimes it's a small packaging change. Just changing the way a box closes means they can package double the amount. That reduces the cost of the product, which increases the margin.
Has there been a product that you've really thought is going to resonate or take off, and then it's just not?
Yes. Oh, sadly.
Kind of like our equivalent is like feature development, where I go on a rant and say this is going to work, and then we put it out there and we have to shut
I
it
know,
up.
it's the stuff that you think is, I
painful.
absolutely love our face cream. But I'll tell you a funny story. So we developed this, and it's beautiful. It's an amazing, and everybody who buys it and uses it loves it.
Okay.
And I was at Beauty World about 3 years ago, and a friend of mine said, would you like to meet the head of marketing for one of the really big French organic houses? He said, she went to university with me, and she'd love to meet you.
Okay.
Anyway, I went to meet her, and she was this charming French woman. We were talking, and she kind of asked me the same question, and I said, I'm so frustrated. I said, we've developed this amazing face cream made with camel milk. It's beautiful. It's natural. I said, we're struggling. And she looked at me and she says, you don't start with the face. You start with the feet. So her point was, you start with the hands and feet, because human beings don't like to go change what's on their face, but they will change what's on their feet and hands first.
Wow, I wouldn't even think of that as an approach to that problem.
It's guided us ever since, that principle.
I mean, I'm a guy, so I don't.
No, yeah, but but she was absolutely right.
Yeah.
She said women will change their face cream last. She said if you're trying to get into a woman's bathroom or a man. In fact, the product sells really well to men as well. She said you need to think about what you start with. And she said starting with the face was very brave and very stupid. And it's doing better, and we're gaining traction slowly.
Okay, so you followed the advice, and
so we've brought out hand and feet, and we're developing more. Her advice was good. And when you think about just how people think, we should have thought of that ourselves. Yes.
Amazing. Yeah. So you're dynamically creating new products and changing, like trying to figure out which areas they go into and what's successful and what's not. I want to change gears a little bit. You've got all this wealth of knowledge of what's happened. What do you think is going to happen in the future? What is the future for the company and then your industry at large?
Yeah. I mean, the future of this company, I think what I would really love, I've always felt that this was a company that I started to reflect the UAE and to reflect the region.
Yeah.
And I guess I would really love it to remain that way.
Think about internationally exporting?
We do. We exported a huge amount to China at one point before COVID, but the Chinese market's changed dramatically. We export on a smallish scale to Kuwait, Saudi, Oman, Bahrain. So there is a market there that we're looking to expand in. We think that there's probably a really good market in particularly the countries that require halal products. Our products are all halal certified.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so we think we could do really well in places like Indonesia and Malaysia. But at the moment, we're quite resource bound. So we're really focusing on the markets we know we can do well in. And then we've learned our lessons. We've burned our fingers by trying to leap into markets. So yes, there is an export market, but possibly not for the product as it stands. I mean, that's beautiful and it's lovely, but it is geared at a tourist picking this up and going, yes. So that's kind of one of our
I've seen this.
Original products. Yeah. So it's very much geared at somebody wanting to pick up a product locally to take home that's special.
And I think there's a power in that, right?
Yes.
In knowing your market, knowing what works. And we've seen businesses that have tried to like over expand, and then that's had a detrimental impact on the overall business.
Yeah.
You know, really focusing on your core markets.
Yeah, well, we tried in 2022 to really move heavily into the cross-border e-commerce market in China. Man, did we get our fingers burned.
Yeah.
Yeah. We learned a lot of lessons. In terms of painful lessons and expensive, but thankfully not ruinous. But we did learn that moving into markets takes a lot more than having good products.
Yeah.
You've got to consider language. You've got there's so much
there's
more.
1,000 things you need to consider. Local demographic, the culture, the language.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So I mean, your question was so for a company like ours, I would really like to see this just become part of the fabric of UAE, and I'd love it to get sold potentially to a UAE company in the long run. I mean, obviously, I need to sort of look at what I want to do, and I probably don't want to be running a company.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about legacy.
Yeah.
What was the plans?
I think I've always built it. I've always built it to sell it.
Okay.
Has always been what I'd like to do. You know, in terms of the future for this region, to be honest, I've got so many ideas of things that to do afterwards. This is a place where you can go and try things and do things. It's a great country for testing ideas and seeing, well, because people here are prepared to try things.
Yeah, and we were talking about it just before we started shooting, right? It's this melting pot of different people, different ecosystems, different ideas. Everybody's coming here, though, there's a very big entrepreneurial spirit to people coming to this region at the moment. I think that's what's creating all of these sparks. Interesting that one thing that Erica Doyle said, as CEO of Drink Dry, that she saw that ideas and people were coming to the UAE, and then the next phase that she saw were that those ideas were ruminating and building in the UAE, and then they would pop out into the rest of the world. So her vision was that she'd see a lot of the products that were created here being available.
I totally agree. And we work with a coach in the States who says, Stevie, nobody knew argan oil 10 years ago.
Yeah.
He said, is there any reason why camel milk can't become the new ingredient of the future? And so I think there is a lot of opportunity for us to really move this type of product out. I mean, we'd really need to think about what those markets need.
Yeah.
But in terms of I mean, I'm excited for what's happening here. And you look at other countries and it's quite depressed.
Yeah.
And I don't find Dubai, UAE at all depressed.
Well, the ambition of the region is to double in size by 2030, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big enough market, no?
Yeah.
30 million people.
Yes.
And, you know, with the infrastructure, with the vision of our leaders that are here, I think they'll get there.
Yes.
And that, like, to try to think that it's going to triple in size in 4 or 5 years is just
I
astronomical
tell you what
growth.
else they do that's pretty amazing. Is we work really closely with a lot of the chambers, like Chamber of Commerce,
great.
Dubai
Okay.
Exports. They are astonishing in terms of how much effort they put into supporting local business.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been to events, shows, road shows. They work tirelessly to support local.
And I kind of referenced it before. We see a lot of that from the ministries and as you say, the areas of government that are trying to promote. I think it's really nice that it's all segregated. It's nice, easy to understand.
Yes.
Sort of lines from the government to support entrepreneurs, local businesses, AI. You know where to go to get support, and they are very driven in supporting everybody.
They do,
that goes
and they're very, and they
into
all
those.
want to get the smiley face.
Yes,
They all want to get the smiley.
the digital
Yeah,
screens.
the digital
Yeah,
smiley face.
I like those. It's
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah, I do as well. And let me tell you, as a business, if something goes wrong and you hit the sad face, you'll get a call asking,
Yeah,
what happened?
what did we do wrong?
What did we do wrong? And
Whereas you get a feeling in other areas and in other regions of the world, so you click that sad face and it will go into a mail inbox and nobody will read it.
I haven't had much experience outside of the UK and originally South Africa, so I'm not quite sure what the business environment is, but I do know that it is pretty extraordinary here. Recently we had a problem just trying to get a document for an export to Kuwait, and things had got really stuck in the municipality, and they've been changing systems. Digital change, as you're aware, can be painful.
Of course.
And it's been a pain. I know their Montage system, they've really had a lot of teething problems with it. And made a phone call to somebody in Dubai Export who put us in touch with someone in DM who said, please come and visit. Problem sorted within 24 hours.
But you just don't get that level of
No,
support anywhere.
no.
I'm not
And
aware of
this was the
but-
highest. I mean, this is really high level in DM. Just said, please come, sit with me, tell me what your problem is.
Yeah.
And let me see if I can get this resolved for
How
you.
can I help?
And he also, just explained the issues and said, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But here's the problems we're having. But let's see if we can get this resolved for you, because we don't want to stop exports from this country.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty amazing.
I mean, I'm always fully inspired by the level of commitment of the UAE government to support all the businesses. Obviously, from a Rakbank perspective, it's critically important to us. But what a lovely way to end the podcast. I could literally sit here and speak to you for hours.
I've enjoyed myself.
Yeah? Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you,
It's been a
Tom.
pleasure.
Thank you.